Welcome to Bad Day HQ. My name's Josh, and today we're counting down the worst amusement park disasters ever recorded. We'll be counting specific episodes, not continued negligence. So although a park may have created more casualties over its lifetime, we are only counting single events. Six Flags Theme Park, Georgia, USA, 2008. At Georgia's Six Flags theme park, a 17-year-old entered the restricted section of the park after his hat fell off during a Batman roller coaster ride. The boy scaled two 6-foot fences and passed many off-limits signs, only to be decapitated by the same ride going at 50 miles per hour. The ride was promptly closed down, but was later reopened. Six Flags over Texas, USA. A mother and child were ejected while riding a coaster 75 feet above the ground. They were killed upon impact with a metal support beam. She was ejected from her third row seat as the roller coaster began a steep incline on its first large hill. A witness told reporters that they didn't secure her right. It is thought that it could have been a seatbelt failure, as the mother's belt only clicked once, whereas others fully clicked several times into place. Her body was nearly severed in two, and bloodstains and pieces of tissue were scattered 75 feet around the impact. Ohio State Fair, USA, July 2017. A pendulum ride called the Fireball malfunctioned one night when, during the ride, several seats were dislodged. Multiple passengers were ejected into the air at up to 30 feet. The accident caused one death and seriously injured more than 6 others. As a result of the event, the fair was shut down. Lawmakers in the state of Ohio have ensured tighter safety regulations for amusement parks. Expo Land, Japan, 2007. Prior to this accident, Expo Land was considered one of Japan's best amusement parks. A roller coaster in the Tokyo theme park was traveling 46 miles per hour when it collided with a guardrail. An axle on one of the 6 cars broke, causing 3 seats to fall off the roller coaster. A 19-year-old female was thrown violently into the fence, instantly killing her. 19 others were injured and rushed to hospital, while 2 more were critically hurt. Following the incident, the park closed temporarily, but reopened in the following weeks. The park closed for good in 2009, as it could not rebuild the public trust lost in the wake of this disaster. Fete De Los France, 2007. One evening in the summer of 2007, a mechanical part of the Fabry booster was ruptured, leaving 2 dead and 2 critically injured. Firefighters in Saint-Germain-en-Laye spent 6 hours to free the survivors. The ride, weighing almost 28 tons, was a kind of merry-go-round that reached speeds of 90 kilometers an hour. The basket carrying the family of 4 affected crashed into the ground, killing the father and son, aged 48 and 21. The investigation was handed over to local federal police, and a spokesperson from the ride's manufacturer said the usual security checks had not detected anything abnormal. Ampropali Amusement Park, India. A pendulum ride in India called Discovery left 29 seriously injured and another 2 dead after a load-bearing cable snapped, causing the structure to crash down on the seated passengers below. The ride was swinging 20 feet above the ground when the accident occurred, and those sat in seats facing outwards bore the brunt of the impact. Representatives from the park who operated the ride were detained at the time by local police, claiming they would register a case of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Even the agencies responsible for inspection would be probed for accountability. Edmonton, Canada, 1986. The mind blender inside a Canadian shopping mall was called the world's safest roller coaster. One evening during a live concert, 4 bolts on the final car came loose from its wheel assembly and crashed violently into a concrete pillar. 3 people were hurled to their deaths, flying more than 60 miles per hour off the coaster. The mindbender had already been investigated in April of the same year, as passengers claimed they had sore necks and shoulders during the ride. Krog Park, Nebraska, USA, 1930. Krog Park in Nebraska was home for the Big Dipper for what is considered the deadliest accident in American amusement park history. The ride had a brake malfunction during the peak of its incline, 49 feet above the ground. The ride fatally crushed 4 people and seriously injured 19 others. Promptly after, the state of Omaha passed a law banning wooden coasters within its city's limits. Battersea Funfair, London, 1972. Mid-20th century Battersea Park was a far cry from the pleasant green haven we know it as today. At the time, it was home to the annual Funfair, and in May 1972, 31 people boarded a 3-car wooden roller coaster called the Big Dipper. As the ride reached 49 feet above the ground, the height of its incline, the ride detached from the drive chain and slipped backwards, crashing into its own tail. 2 teenage boys and an 8-year-old girl died on impact, whilst 2 other children died of their injuries later that night. In addition, 13 passengers were rushed to hospital to treat their injuries. The disaster led to a review of fairground safety, and several charges of manslaughter were brought against the park manager and ride engineer. They were later cleared of these charges in November of the following year. The ride was permanently closed after the incident. Finally, number 1. Great Adventure Haunted House, New Jersey, USA. A fire began in the haunted house attraction at Six Flags Adventure Park in New Jersey. Passengers and actors alike were trapped inside during the blaze. When the fire crews arrived to put out the fire, it was too late for the party of teens and young adults caught in the inferno. The accident left 8 dead and seriously injured 7 others in the blaze. It took until the early hours of the following morning to remove all the bodies from the rubble. Will you be so quick to take a ride next time? Let us know in the comments section below and tell us what top 10s you want to see next. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Bad Day HQ.